He was dying. The man who had inexplicably become my sanctuary was bleeding out in my arms, the metallic scent of his blood a stark, terrifying contrast to the sweet aroma of roses that always clung to him. His usually immaculate white hair was streaked with grime and something darker, and his hand, which felt so strong on the steering wheel, was now trembling as he pressed a simple silver ring on a red cord into my palm. The world had narrowed to this single horrifying point. Vincent, the impossibly cold and powerful Alpha, was broken in an abandoned, rotting shed, and it was all my fault. His voice, a whisper of sound that I had to strain to hear, uttered words that shattered the last remnants of my reality. "Loved you always," he breathed, his fading blue eyes locked on mine. "Last life, I watched you with him." Never said it. This time, I had to. But to understand how we reached this precipice of love and loss, how this unbreachable man ended up here, we have to rewind. We have to go back to the night my own world didn't just crack, it completely disintegrated. It began with a familiar click of my front door, a sound that usually signified a return to the quiet order of my life. My suitcase, heavy from a week-long business trip, bumped softly against the polished hardwood floors. I had been dreaming of this moment. A quiet evening, a warm meal with Darren, my Alpha, and maybe a brief, stilted conversation with our son, Franklin. But the silence I expected was absent. Instead, a wave of bright, unfamiliar laughter washed over me from the dining room. I froze, my hand still on the doorknob, a cold knot tightening in my chest. The air was thick with the cloying sweetness of vanilla frosting and the sharp, expensive cologne that belonged to Darren. But there was another scent woven into it, something honeyed and potent that made the hairs on my arms stand up. My movements became unnervingly silent as I crept forward, my boots making no sound on the plush runner in the hallway. I peered around the doorframe, and the scene that unfolded before me felt like a tableau from someone else's life. Darren, my Darren, was seated at the head of our dining table. The light from the crystal chandelier above made his dark hair gleam, and his smile was a gentle, unguarded thing I hadn't strayed seen directed at me in years. On the lap of a complete stranger, a stunning omega with razor-sharp cheekbones and eyes the color of warm honey, sat our 10-year-old son, Franklin. He was giggling, his face smeared with chocolate frosting from the elaborate birthday cake that served as the table's centerpiece. The omega leaned intimately towards Darren, whispering something that coaxed a low, rumbling chuckle from his chest. My stomach churned with a nauseous, acidic dread. "Darter trade s such a cool Alpha," Franklin chirped, his voice painfully bright and utterly oblivious to my presence lingering in the shadows of the hallway. "He should be with someone amazing like you, Herbert, not just a beater." The namer Herbert slammed into me. The omega laughed, a delicate, tinkling sound that scraped against my raw nerves like shattering glass. He tilted his head, his gaze locking with Darren's in a way that was both a challenge and an invitation. "If Nelson wasn't trade in the picture," he purred, "would you have chosen me?" Darren trade's expression softened into something tender, a look of pure adoration that I had craved for a decade and never once received. "Yeah," he replied, his voice simple, sure, and absolutely devastating. "I would have." My heart didn't just sink, it plummeted, a heavy stone cast into an impossibly deep, icy chasm. My fingers dug into the wood of the doorframe, my knuckles turning white from the strain. And then, the world tilted on its axis. Shimmering, translucent words began to float in my field of vision. glowing like a corrupted hologram from a sci-fi movie. OMG, does anyone see how ridiculously hot this sad, beefy beater is? That chest, that waist, those legs. Euros. Darren is absolute trash. Euros. Trade am stepping in. Zips pants. I blinked hard, shaking my head, but the text remained hovering malevolently in the air. More messages began to bleed into existence around it. Darren is going to regret this so hard. Poor Nelson. He does no Euros trade T even realize his own worth. Another appeared. Franklina Euros trade S being a brat, but he Euros trade S just echoing what Darren taught him. Eater Euros trade S heartbreaking. What in the hell was happening? I rubbed my eyes frantically, but the words persisted, a bizarre, unsolicited commentary track to the demolition of my life. They called Darren a slag, a word I vaguely understood was derogatory, and they showered me with a pity that stung more sharply than my own Sona Euros trade's casual dismissal. I couldn't breathe. I stumbled backward, my throat constricting, and slipped out the front door before my presence could be discovered. The biting chill of the night air was a shock against my flushed face. I stood on the porch, staring at the house. Euros, our house, all sleek modern lines and expansive glass windows. It had never truly felt like a home, more like a showroom I was allowed to occupy, and now it was undeniably a stranger's territory. A surge of rage told me to storm back inside, to scream, to shatter the perfect illusion they had built. But what would that accomplish? Franklin already saw me as an embarrassment, a bitter placeholder in his perfect alpha-centric world. Darren had just made it excruciatingly clear that I was not only replaceable but had already been replaced. My pride, though battered and bleeding, was the only thing I had left. It propelled me forward, down the steps and onto the silent, empty street. I started walking, my suitcase rattling behind me, with no destination in mind. Anywhere was better than here. The street lights flickered intermittently, mirroring the wavering state of my resolve. I am a beater. I am strong. I am capable. I can survive this. I have my own 2 hands, my own 2 feet. I can find work. I can find a place to stay. Maybe I'll go back to the countryside where I grew up. Start over. More text erupted in my vision, brighter this time, bolder now. Nelson Euros trade's face at this moment is destroying me. So vulnerable. So hot. Darren Euros trade's loss, my gain. Euros trade M. Feral. Another voice chimed in. Odd key Euros trade's going to pine for that jerk for ages. Isna Euros trade T he. Darren dosna Euros trade T deserve a single one of his tears. A third, more cryptic message appeared. Spoiler: Darren is going to grovel later. But Vincent is the real deal. Save him, King Vincent. The name, Vincent, tickled a distant memory. Some wealthy, influential alpha in Darren Euros trade's social circle. I shook my head, trying to dislodge the strange, intrusive text. Was I having a breakdown? Was this what extreme stress did to a person? The rhythmic rattle of my suitcase wheels was the only sound accompanying my thoughts until a sleek, black sports car screeched to a halt beside me, its headlights blinding me. The tinted window slid down with a soft hum, revealing a face so devastatingly handsome it could have been carved from marble. Vincent. His jawline was sharp enough to cut glass, and his eyes were a startling, icy blue. He fixed me with a glare that felt both dismissive and intensely focused. Wandering the streets at midnight, his voice was a low, cutting baritone. Trying to get yourself killed. I flinched, a wave of heat creeping up my neck. Sorry I didn't see you. The text in my vision exploded into a frenzy. Vincenter Euros trade S here. Our boys are in love already. Look at that smolar. He Euros trade S acting all cold and distant, but his heart is doing cartwheels, I swear. The beater has him weak in the knees. Darren who? Vincent is the end game. Ire Euros trade am calling it now. I took an involuntary step back, my head spinning. Vincent, of course, one of Darren's high society friends, an alpha who probably viewed me as little more than furniture. The car idled, its engine a low purr. He leaned out slightly, his piercing gaze flicking from my face to the brightly lit house I had just fled. Trouble in paradise? He asked, his tone dripping with a mockery that felt like salt in a fresh wound. Darren and Herbert looked awfully cozy tonight. The jab landed with the force of a physical blow. My fists clenched at my sides, but I refused to give him the satisfaction of a response. He was just like the rest of them, rubbing my nose in my own inadequacy. Beaters were invisible until they could be used for something. I turned to walk away, to put as much distance as possible between myself and his condescending pity, but his voice stopped me dead in my tracks. Nelson. He said my name slowly, deliberately, as if tasting it for the first time. Where are you going? I glanced back over my shoulder, my jaw tight. Does it matter? Somewhere else. A corner of his mouth twitched, the ghost of a smirk. You're not as spineless as you look. He paused, then jerked his head toward the passenger seat of the car. Get in. I'll give you a ride. I stared at him, my suspicion a palpable thing. Why would you help me? He offered a lazy shrug, his expression a carefully constructed mask of indifference. Maybe I'm bored, or maybe I just don't like seeing Darren win. The text flared again, a cascade of excited commentary. Vincent is internally screaming a circumflex Euros I love you are Euros trade, but he Euros trade s gotta play it cool. Iconic. Nelson, babe, get in the car. This is the start of your glow-up arc. I didn't trust him, not for a second, but my legs ached with a weariness that went bone deep. And the prospect of walking all night through the cold city was infinitely worse than whatever game this enigmatic alpha was playing. I pulled the door open, the weight of it surprising me, and slid into the supple leather seat. The interior of the car smelled of roses, a clean, sharp scent that was surprisingly grounding. Buckle up, Vincent commanded, not looking at me as he pulled away from the curb with a smooth surge of power. I have no intention of scraping you off the pavement if we crash. I snorted, the sound escaping before I could stop it. Real charming. He glanced at me then, a single eyebrow raised in amusement. You're welcome. The city lights blurred into long streaks as the car hummed along the empty streets. My phone buzzed in my pocket. A message from Darren. I ignored it, my thumb hovering over the block button, a silent war raging within me. The text in my vision seemed to be cheering me on. Nelson is done with Darren a Euros trade SBS. Pull the trigger, King. Vincent is probably plotting how to steal him away forever. I am so here for it. My resolve hardened like steel. I gripped my phone, opened Darren's contact information, and typed out a short, brutal message. Ire Euros trade am done. Be happy with Herbert. Goodbye. I hit send and then, with a final, cathartic tap, I blocked his number. A wave of lightness washed over me, but the dull ache in my chest remained. Franklina Euros trade's face, contorted in a sneer of contempt, flashed in my mind. I leaned my head back against the cool leather and closed my eyes. Vincent's voice cut through the silence. You okay? I didn't open my eyes. Yeah, just figuring things out. He didn't press for more, but I could feel his gaze on me, sharp and unyielding. The car slowed, and I realized we were pulling into a long, gated driveway. His home, I presumed. It was massive, a fortress of modern architecture that was both sleek and intimidating. I tensed, but he simply got out, walked around the car, and opened my door. "Come on," he said, his tone a fraction softer than before. "You're not sleeping on the street tonight." I hesitated for only a moment before grabbing my suitcase and following him into the lion's den. The text flickered one last time as I crossed the threshold. "This is it, folks. Nelson Eurostrade's new chapter starts now. Vincent, don't Eurostrade you dare screw this up." I shook my head, trying to will the words away. Whatever was happening to me, whether it was a hallucination or something else entirely, I was done looking back. I stepped inside, Vincent Eurostrade's imposing shadow looming behind me, and for the first time that night, I felt a flicker of hope that I might actually survive this. Vincent's mansion was a world away from the cold, sterile house I had shared with Darren. The foyer was vast, a cavern of polished marble and abstract art, but I barely registered its grandeur. He led me to a guest room that was larger than my old master bedroom, complete with a plush, king-sized bed and soft, ambient lighting. It was far too luxurious for someone like me. He set my suitcase down by the door, his movements surprisingly gentle, as if he were handling something precious and fragile. "You're not our prisoner," he said, leaning against the doorframe, his arms crossed over his broad chest. "Sleep, think, do whatever you need to do. Just don't try to sneak out at 3 in the morning. I'm not in the mood to chase you down." A weak smile touched my lips. "Noted. Thanks, I guess." He gave a curt nod, but his intense blue eyes lingered on me for a moment too long. "Night, Nelson." As the door clicked shut behind him, the text popped up again, practically giddy. "Vincent Eurostrade's heart is doing backflips right now. He is so gone for you, Nelson. Darren is going to lose his mind when he realizes you are Eurostrade with Vincent. I am living for this drama." I collapsed onto the bed, my head spinning. The room smelled faintly of roses, Vincent's scent, a strange comfort in this unfamiliar place. I pulled out my phone, found the last message from Darren, which had come from a new number, and typed a reply. "You got what you wanted. I'm gone. Be happy with Herbert." I sent it, blocked that number too, and tossed the phone onto the nightstand. My eyes stung with unshed tears, but I refused to cry. Franklin's face, his scorn, his rejection, haunted the edges of my thoughts. I was done chasing a family that clearly didn't want me. The text shifted, its tone softer now. "You deserve so much better, Nelson. Vincent is your guy. Just let him in." I closed my eyes, the words fading as I drifted into an exhausted sleep, the scent of roses wrapping around me like a protective embrace. I awoke to sunlight filtering through the gaps in heavy, blackout curtains, momentarily disoriented by the plushness of the bed swallowing me whole. Then, the memories of the previous night crashed down on me with the force of a tidal wave. Darren, Franklin, Herbert, the glowing text, Vincent. I sat up, a dull throb starting behind my eyes. I checked my phone out of a morbid sense of habit. Another new number, another message from Darren. "Franklin is asking for you. Come home." I deleted it without a second thought, my jaw tight. He wasn't going to guilt trip me back into that life. The text flickered into view, indignant on my behalf. "Darren Eurostrade's pulling the kid card already. Father Eurostrade's a low blow, dude. Nelson is stronger than that. Look at him, ready to move on." Downstairs, I could hear voices. One was sharp and commanding. Euros Vincent. I found him in a kitchen that looked like it belonged in a high-end restaurant magazine. A sleek expanse of stainless steel and black marble. He was arguing with an older, impeccably dressed man who I assumed was his butler, while two young boys darted around them. One boy had messy black hair and a mischievous grin. The other had the same stark white hair as Vincent, his expression unnervingly blank but intense. "Elliot, stop stealing the bacon," Vincent snapped without looking up from his coffee. The black-haired boy, Elliot, giggled and shoved another crispy strip into his mouth. The white-haired one, Evan, simply watched, and his startlingly blue eyes flicked to me as I entered the room. Vincent glanced over, and the hard lines of his face softened almost imperceptibly. "Morning, Nelson. Sleep okay?" "Yeah," I mumbled, feeling awkward under Evan's unwavering stare. "Thanks for all of this." He just shrugged, as if offering shelter to a heartbroken stranger was a daily occurrence. "Coffee's on the counter. Help yourself." As I poured a cup, he turned his attention back to me, leaning against the massive kitchen island. "You ever done bodyguard work?" I blinked, taken aback. "Me, I'm a beater. I don't exactly scream intimidating." A ghost of a smirk played on his lips, and his eyes glinted with amusement. "You're built like a tank. That's intimidating enough. Some jobs require a more inconspicuous presence." Interested, I hesitated. I needed a job, and I desperately needed money to start my new life. But an alpha as powerful as Vincent hiring a beater for protection, it felt strange, off-kilter. "What's the catch?" "No catch," he said, a little too casually. "Good pay, flexible hours. Are you in?" The text buzzed with excitement. Vincent is making his move, hiring Nelson just to keep him close. So smooth. He just wants an excuse to stare at those biceps all day. "I don't Euros trade to blame him." I rubbed the back of my neck, trying to ignore the commentary. "Sure," I said. "Why not? I need something to do." Vincent nodded, a flicker of deep satisfaction crossing his face. "Good. You start tomorrow." Before I could process this sudden turn of events, Elliot barreled into my legs, nearly knocking me over. "Whoa, you're huge!" he exclaimed, grinning up at me. "Are you a wrestler?" I couldn't help but laugh as I steadied him. "Nah, just a guy." "You're Elliot, right?" "Yep, and that's Evan, my boring brother," he said, pointing to the white-haired boy who was still staring at me with that quiet intensity. Evan's voice, when he finally spoke, was soft but clear. "I'm not boring." I froze, caught off guard. His eyes, so much like Vincent's, held a depth that was startling in a child. I managed a smile. "Thanks, kid." The text flared again. "Evan is already on Team Nelson. Look at that baby alpha crush." A new message appeared, this one feeling more like a factual footnote. "Fun fact, those kids lost their parents in a car crash. Nelson is the first real connection Thayer Euros trade V made with anyone since." My chest tightened. I glanced at Evan, who was now meticulously picking at a piece of toast, avoiding my gaze. I spent the rest of the morning playing card games with the boys. Elliot's cheerful chatter filled the large, sterile kitchen with warmth, while Evan stayed close, his small hand occasionally brushing against mine when he passed me a card. For a few hours, it felt nice. Normal. Then my phone buzzed again. Another new number, another message from Darren. "You're breaking Franklin's heart. Come back, Nelson. We can fix this." I scowled, my thumb slamming down on the block button. The text shifted, its tone growing angrier. "Darren is out here gaslighting like Eater Euros trade as his full-time job. Franklin is fine. Nelson, Dona Euros trade T fall for it. Vincent, who had been watching me from across the island, his eyes narrowed. Darren again? He asked, his voice low. Yeah, I admitted, shoving the phone back in my pocket. He's persistent. Vincent's jaw tightened, but he simply said, you don't owe him anything. Remember that. A moment later, his voice cut through my thoughts again, softer this time. You're not half bad with kids, he observed, almost grudgingly. Ever think about sticking around long term? I looked at him, surprised. His expression was casual, but his eyes were intense, searching. You offering me a permanent gig? I asked, half joking. Maybe, he replied, his lips twitching. Depends if you can handle Elliot's particular brand of chaos. Elliot stuck his tongue out, and for the first time, Evan let out a small, genuine giggle. The text flickered one last time, a soft, hopeful glow. He is so completely smitten. Eater Euros trade s ridiculous. Nelson, war Euros trade Reeve already home. You just don't Euros trade T know it yet. I leaned back in my chair, watching Evan shuffle the cards with surprising dexterity. Maybe, just maybe, I could build something new here. The suit Vincent provided fit as though it were custom-made, hugging my broad shoulders in a way that felt both constricting and powerful. Tonight was my first official job as his bodyguard, a fancy garler I had no business attending. My phone had been blissfully silent, and I hoped it meant Darren had finally given up. At the garler, I stuck close to Vincent, a silent shadow in his wake. And then I saw him. Herbert. He was gliding through the crowd, an omega in his element, his gaze landing on me with a slow, sharp smile. Nelson, he purred, sidling up to me. Didn't expect to see you here. Playing bodyguard for Vincent now. Quite the downgrade. I clenched my jaw, just doing my job. He let out a low, mocking laugh. Oh honey, you are so out of your depth. Beaters don't belong in places like this. Just as I was about to retort, Vincent appeared at my side, his presence an arctic blast. Herbert, he said, his tone icy. Still clinging to Darren's coattails, I see. It must be exhausting. Herbert's smile faltered for a fraction of a second. Vincent, always so charming. I was just catching up with Nelson. Poor thing looks lost without Darren. Vincent took a step closer, his voice dropping to a dangerous murmur. Funny. He looks better than ever to me. Herbert's mask of composure finally cracked. Enjoy your little game, Vincent. Nelson will crawl back to Darren soon enough. Beaters always do. As he sauntered away, Vincent glanced at me, his expression unreadable. You okay? Yeah, I lied, my mind reeling. Herbert's words had unearthed a flood of painful memories. I remembered the early days with Darren, back when we were just roommates in a cramped apartment. He'd been quiet, intense, leaving me coffee on nights when I worked late. I thought he was a beater, like me. Then came the stormy night. His alpha pheromones went wild during an unexpected heat. He begged for my help, his hands burning against my skin. I couldn't say no. A week later, he found a love letter Euros trade D foolishly written and promised to take responsibility. I was naive enough to believe responsibility meant love. The text interrupted my thoughts, sharp and bitter. Darren Euros trade S responsibility was just a form of control. Franklina Euros trade S name was a tribute to Herbert. So gross. I shook my head, trying to clear the memories. When I got pregnant Euros a freak, biological chance for a beater Euros he promised to provide, but it was a cold clinical transaction. Franklin's birth should have been a miracle, but every milestone just felt like another reminder that I wasn't enough. "Nelson," Vincent said, pulling me from my reverie. "You're doing that thing where you look like a kit puppy. Stop it." I let out a humorless laugh. "Sorry, just thinking about Darren," he pressed, his gaze softening. "About how I ended up here," I admitted. "If I even deserve to be here." Vincent's jaw tightened, and for a second I thought he was angry. Then he stepped closer, his voice low and firm. "You're worth more than you know. Darren is an idiot for not seeing it, and Herbert is just jealous." A strange warmth spread through my chest. "Why do you care so much?" He hesitated, then that familiar smirk returned. "Maybe I just hate losing to idiots." Later, in the car, the city lights streaking past like comets. A sudden flash of headlights in the rearview mirror made me jolt. A black SUV roared up behind us, swerving aggressively to block our path. Vincent slammed on the brakes, cursing under his breath as the SUV's door flew open. Darren stepped out, his face a mask of fury, and behind him, clutching his jacket, was Franklin. "Nelson!" Darren's voice cracked like a whip. "Get out of the car!" The text erupted in chaos. "Oh snap, Darren has gone unhinged. This is peak soap opera drama." "Stay put," Vincent commanded, his knuckles white on the steering wheel. "I'll handle this." "No," I said, unbuckling my seatbelt. "He's my problem." I stepped out into the sharp night air. "Nelson," Darren said, his voice breaking. "I messed up, okay? I know I hurt you, but I'm not that guy anymore. I've changed. Last time we worked it out, you forgave me. You loved me." I stared at him, utterly bewildered. "Last time," the text flashed furiously. He Eurostrayed s talking nonsense. "Last time, bro is delusional." Darren a Eurostrayed s pulling some multiverse BS to guilt trip you. "Dona Eurostrayed t buy it. You don't get to rewrite history, Darren," I said, my voice steady. "You chose Herbert." Franklin stepped forward, his own voice small but sharp. "You're leaving me. You're my dad. You can't just." "Beaters are embarrassing, but I don't want you gone." My throat tightened, but I held my ground. Darren lunged, grabbing my wrist. "You don't mean that. We're a family." In a flash, Vincent was out of the car, his voice like a blade. "Let him go, Darren, or I'll make you." Darren released me, his eyes narrowing. "You think you can steal him, Vincent? He's mine. He always will be." Vincent let out a cold, dangerous laugh. "Yours? You had your chance." He pulled out his phone, displaying the photo of Darren, Herbert, and a beaming Franklin at the birthday party. "Is this what you call family?" Everything after that happened in a blur. Darren, his face contorted with desperation, grabbed me again, shoving me towards his SUV. Franklin screamed my name as I was forced inside and the door slammed shut. I saw Vincent shouting, his face a mask of rage, as the SUV peeled out, leaving him behind. Darren dragged me back to our old house, locking me in a sterile guest room. My phone was gone. I was a prisoner. Hours later, the door creaked open, and Franklin slipped inside, carrying a tray with burnt toast and lumpy oatmeal. His hands were trembling. "Dad," he whispered, I made this for you." I knelt down, my anger softening. "Franklin, I need to get out of here. Please, if you care about me at all, help me." He hesitated, his face a war of conflict. Then he pulled a key from his pocket. "Don't tell further." The text in my vision, which had been frantic, suddenly became urgent, filled with a terror that chilled my blood. "Vincent is in trouble." He wrecked his gland to avoid Darren a Eurostrayed s trap. He Euros trade S at the old park, bleeding out. Nelson, war Euros trade V got to get out. Vincent needs you. My blood ran cold. Vincent hurt because of me. I used the key, slipped past the guards, while Franklin created a distraction and sprinted to a payphone. I dialed Vincenter Euros trade S butler. Mr. Harris, where is he? We're looking, Nelson, he said, his voice strained with worry. He's missing. No time, I said, my voice shaking. The text flashed again, a desperate beacon. He Euros trade S at Riverside Park, the abandoned shed on the west side. Hurry, Nelson. I slammed the phone down. Riverside Park. I knew it. Overgrown, forgotten, dangerous. I flagged down a passing cab, my mind screaming one single, terrifying thought. Vincent was hurt, maybe even dying, because he tried to save me. I couldn't lose him. Not now. The cab screeched to a halt at the edge of the park. I shoved a handful of bills at the driver and plunged into the darkness, sprinting down an overgrown path. The text guided me like a frantic GPS. Your Euros trade re so close. The shed is just past the old fountain. He Euros trade S hanging on. I saw the cracked stone of the fountain and, beyond it, the dilapidated shed. I burst through the broken door, my breath catching in a sob, and there he was, slumped against the far wall, blood soaking the front of his shirt, his hand clutching that silver ring on its red cord. He was dying. I dropped to my knees beside him, my hands shaking as I pressed my jacket against the grievous wound on his neck. His scent, roses, was faint, drowned out by the copper tang of his blood. Vincent, I choked out. His eyes fluttered open, hazy but finding mine. Nelson, he whispered. You're here. I'm here, I said, my voice cracking. Help's on the way. You're not allowed to die, you hear me? A weak smile touched his lips. Bossy. For a beater. His hand lifted, pressing the ring into my palm. This was for you. Last time, I didn't get to give it. My chest tightened as I clutched the ring, its metal cool against my skin. What are you talking about? Last time, his beautiful, fading blue eyes held mine. Loved you always, he breathed. Last life, I watched you with him. Never said it. This time, I had to. He coughed, blood flecking his lips. I love you, Nelson. Always will. The text went wild with a torrent of heartbroken, tearful messages. He said it. Vincent, you legend. Dona Euros trade T die. Please, Dona Euros trade T die. Or ship. He confessed. My own tears finally broke free, hot and fast, splashing onto his pale face. Vincent, don't, I begged. Don't leave me. He gave my hand a final, weak squeeze, his eyes drifting shut just as the distant wail of sirens pierced the night air, growing closer and closer. So now we Euros trade left here, in the deafening silence after a confession that has rewritten reality itself. Vincenter Euros trade S life hangs by a thread, and his final words have opened up a chasm of questions I don't Euros trade T know how to answer. What did he mean by a circumflex Euros last lifer Euros trade? And what about Darren Euros trade S strange, delusional claims that he had changed, that we had a circumflex Euros worked it out before Euros trade? Is there a connection? What do you think is going on? Do you believe in second chances even across lifetimes? Let me know your theories in the comments below. If you are Euros trade as desperate as I am to find out if Vincent survives and what these cryptic clues mean, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. You wanna Euros trade T want to miss what happens next.